Hello, students of mine. Welcome to Social Work Competencies, Roles, and Values. So I'm going to be doing a super brief video lecture that coincides with the readings in Chapter 1. So follow along with me, and I will provide a little bit of context and information for you about these particular things that you need to know. All right, so first we're going to talk about the social work competencies. And so if you will take notice that in every syllabus that you have, you will see somewhere on the first or second page a list of competencies. And so we're going to spend a little time today just kind of walking through those particular competencies, talking a little bit about what they mean, and talking about that why they should be of great importance to you. And so the social work competencies, there are a total of 9 of them, are different competencies that we will be measuring during your tenure here as a student as you become a social worker. Competency 1 is demonstrating ethical and professional behavior. So we're going to talk to you about a lot of the skills and the values that go along with what being a professional social worker entails, roles, duties, the whole 9 yards. And it's your job to actually adhere to those pieces and be able to demonstrate that in the work that you do here while you're in school. The second competency is engage in anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion in practice. And so this is a competency that is newer to the CWSE EPAWS, but is long, long, long overdue. So again, in the course of your work here, there'll be coursework, there'll be things you'll be doing in your field placements where you'll have to be able to demonstrate the anti-racist views and initiatives. Look at working across diverse cultures, looking at equity, and looking at how we can make sure that your practice is inclusive. Competencies number 3 is about advancing human rights, social, racial, economic, and environmental justice. So really looking at these particular forms of rights that we all have. We all should have the same rights as human beings and should be entitled to the same resources, regardless of our race, regardless of our socioeconomic status, as well as environmental justice, which really looks at the contaminants that are put into our atmosphere in certain neighborhoods at a higher rate than in other neighborhoods, resulting in many more public health kinds of concerns, as well as chronic disease for those particular persons. So you'll be able to demonstrate, or you'll have to show some mastery of understanding this particular competency as you progress through the program and also in your field placement. Competency number 4 looks at engaging in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. And while you're in this particular program, you will note that there are some research requirements in terms of some classes that you'll be taking that will be research focused. This will be some classes around policy that you'll actually have to take too, because we want you to become familiar with the concept of actually being able to perform research, because it is a huge integral part to the social work field in terms of actually helping us know whether the techniques and the interventions and the methodologies that we're using are actually working or not, or who are they working for and who are they not working for, and to make the adjustments accordingly. Number 5 would be to engage in policy practice. So really understanding that all of the laws, there are laws and statutes that are national, that are local, that really have an impact on social welfare and social work and the work that we do. So it's really about understanding those particular policies fairly thoroughly so we'll understand how we got to where we are, as well as being able to analyze those policies to take a look at what's working and what's not working. Number 6 is engaging with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. So a lot of this will happen in the course of your field program when you are actually in the field working with clients. And so it's about how do you engage? How do you know how to enter the room? How do you know how to connect with, interview, and engage with those particular individuals, families, groups, as well as organizations, and sometimes communities. The last 3, you'll also, number 7 is going to be assessing families, individuals, groups, organizations, and communities. So it's about I've engaged, so I've connected with this particular family. How do I start to extract information from the community? How do I start to get information from families and individuals about what's occurring in their lives that are causing problems or the need for services? So these are the things and the skill sets that you'll be utilizing or learning in the program that you'll actually be able to demonstrate in your field placement and subsequently in your work. Competency number 8 really looks at intervening with families, individuals, groups, or an organization. So after we've done the assessment, we need to look at an intervention. So putting a plan together for how to move the community, the individual, the family from point A to point B um, is part of that particular process. So wanting to make sure that we understand that. And then competency number 9, evaluate um, practice with individuals, families, groups, organizations, communities. So as you just learned, we talked about the whole notion of being a research-informed entity. So this gives you the ability to evaluate your practice in terms of how well you're actually able to move forward with doing those types of things. So give me a minute. Let me wave my hands and turn the lights back on that cut off in this room automatically. Be right back. Much better. I'm in a smart building that just doesn't sense movement, and so then it turns the lights out. All right, so this is much better, and we're back. And so now we are talking about social work roles. So once we understand and know that you're looking at these particular competencies that you'll be inundated with the entire time that you're here in the program, also recognize that there are various roles that you will play as a social worker, and sometimes you'll play multiple roles at the same time. So this list here just has a few of the things that you might find yourself doing. So, for example, I worked as a child protection worker many years ago. And so oftentimes I found myself in the role of the case manager, looking at finding services and connecting my clients to them. There were times where I actually had to work as a counselor, where I had children on my caseload who were struggling with a variety of different issues and needed a supportive ear or someone to talk to. I played that particular role. Lost count of the number of times that I've worked as a mediator in terms of working with individuals who had significant differences of opinions. Some of the times they were professionals, sometimes they were clients, but finding yourself in the role as a mediator. So all of these are different things that you might do in the course of your work with a family and do them often multiple times. So this is just an idea of some of the things or some of the skill sets that we're going to be teaching you about in this particular program. And then finally, we're going to talk about our social work values. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one because this is going to come up in a subsequent chapter where we'll go into greater detail. But understand these particular components because they are critical to the work that we do. Social work values embody the whole notion of service. It's about we need to provide service for our client, whether our client is a community, whether our client is an individual, whether our client is a 5-year-old kindergartner. They are entitled to those particular services, and it's our job to look at, assess what the need is, what the issues are, and then provide the appropriate services. Social justice, making sure that everyone gets a fair shake. Um, this is nothing new, but we are probably the only profession that has this in our ethics, code of ethics, in terms of our ability or our willingness to make sure that we advocate for social justice in the work that we do. So making sure that we have a level playing field for all human beings, regardless of what status or where you come from or what you look like, that you are a worthy human being, and we need to make sure that those things are acknowledged. The dignity and worth of persons. Every individual is unique and special, regardless of how they present, where they come from, what kind of issues they may have experienced in the past or are experiencing now. They are a person and they have worth just by virtue of the fact that they are a person. And so we have to always remember that and treat them as such. Integrity, doing things the right way. A wise person once says to me, integrity is who you are when no one's watching. So it's about doing the right thing at all time. And then competence, making sure that you are practicing at a level of competence that's commensurate with your particular education and your licensing pieces. All right, this is our reference. And so I will stop here, but just wanted to make sure that you understood that these are some fairly important concepts that you need to be aware of as you move towards becoming a social worker. We'll spend much more time in terms of looking at those particular social work competencies as they will come up for every single solitary class that you will be taking while you're at the College of St. Scholastica. Talk to you soon.